हेलो फ्रेंड्स, कैसे हो आप लोग। सो वेलकम बैक। सो दिस इज आवर नेक्स्ट क्लास फॉर द ज्योग्राफी and we are going to start with our the new discussion on the geography. So today we are going to start with the another topic, that is geological structure of Rajasthan. So in that we are going to cover basically certain important aspects. So geological structure of Rajasthan. Okay, so this is a geographical map of Rajasthan. Okay, you are very well aware about it. And here the most important aspect is that the geological structure, as we have discussed also about the geography of Rajasthan very briefly, right? The locational aspect also, the map of Rajasthan very briefly. So you are very well aware about, the political map of Rajasthan. Okay. In a similar fashion, we are going to discuss the geological structure. Now, the geological structure basically comprises in several phases. Okay. So you can study the geological changes, okay, in the geological structure of Rajasthan in terms of several phases, right? For example, you can have different eras, like first of all, Proterozoic era. This is the first phase that has, happened in terms of the changes in the geological structure. Then you have the Paleozoic era, Mesozoic era, and you have the Neozoic era. Okay, so these are basically, you can say, the phases, okay, in terms of how the structure or how the structure of or how the geological structure of Rajasthan has undergone changes. So one by one we will see. So first of all, we will see the Proterozoic era in the context of Rajasthan. So let's take the Proterozoic era. Again, you can divide this Proterozoic era in Rajasthan into two subgroups, that is pre-Aravali and Precambrian. Pre-Aravali and Precambrian. Okay. So again, we will discuss what is pre-Aravali and what is Precambrian. Okay. Pre-Aravali, that is prior to the Aravali. So here, as you know, that Aravali is basically one of the oldest fold mountain. Okay. So Aravali is one of the oldest fold mountain. Currently, this mountain is not there in its original shape. Okay. It has now just left with the remnants. Okay. So just few residues have been left out. So mountain range basically, Aravali mountain range basically starts from, the Raisina hills, that is in Delhi, okay, to Khed Brahma in Gujarat. Okay. So Raisina hills, you can take that one is in the northeast when you say in terms of direction. Okay. So it starts from the northeast and it goes up to the southeast. So that is the direction for that, and it runs from the Raisina hills, that is located in Delhi, to Khed Brahma, that is basically in Gujarat. So the former Aravali mountains basically rose to its shape in this era, that is, we call it as Proterozoic era, specifically in Precambrian times. Okay, so it basically rose in Precambrian times. Okay, you can have roughly around 4 billion years ago. Okay, now there is a huge convergence in the middle of Aravalli ranges. The rocks of Delhi and Aravalli groups are found in this association. Okay, and what we say in terms of symmetry, this symmetry basically extends parallel to the boundary fault that is located in the east. Okay, so that is all about briefly about Aravalli. Let's discuss about the Precambrian. Okay, so under this, the Aravalli and Delhi group, Delhi super group are basically included. So you can include the Aravalli and the Delhi super group. So Aravalli super group and Delhi super group. So let's discuss first this Aravalli super group. So here the most important aspect is that the shales which are situated in the asymmetrical configuration on the top of basically hill, that is basically we can call it as Aravalli subgroup. So what is there? It is primarily the shales in asymmetric configuration. Okay, on the top. Apart from that, you can also found the phyllites, dolomites, quartzites, conglomerate rocks. Okay, they are also found in these rocks. Upper part of this Aravalli subgroup, which is primarily consist of the phyllite and quartzite. Okay, they basically form a separate rock formation. Okay, and they have basically primarily thick fold. Upper part of Aravalli. Okay, now again you can divide this upper part of Aravalli into two groups. That is, the one is called Jadol group and the second is called basically the Udaipur group. Jadol group and Udaipur group. Okay. Now they basically differ in terms of the composition of different rock groups of Aravalli subgroup. So this is what we have in terms of the Precambrian, Aravalli subgroup. Okay. Next, we will discuss about the Delhi subgroup. Okay. So this is the second part we are going to discuss. Delhi subgroup. What is Delhi subgroup? That is the type of rock that extends over, very large area of Rajasthan. So that is extend to the large area of Rajasthan. That is that part of group. So this Delhi subgroup basically includes, different types of rock groups, like you have the Rayalo rock groups, Alwar rock groups, you have Ajabgarh rock groups. Okay, different types of rock groups have been found. This Rayalo rock group is mainly divided into, different other rock groups also. For example, you have limestone rock group, you have quartzite rock groups, you have marble rock groups, you have the conglomerate rock group. Okay, so this is what we have in terms of the Delhi subgroup. Now let's, before proceed to the new era, this rock group, particular subgroup, what we call Rayalo, is basically divided into different subgroups or different rock groups. Similarly, the Alwar rock group, it is basically form a mountain ranges which basically consisting of various compositions, and that is basically found nearby Alwar, nearby the Alwar. Okay, Alwar is basically a district in Rajasthan. So shells of these groups are basically, they are distinctly present in specifically in the northern part of rocks of, in that group. Then we have this Ajabgarh rock group. This Ajabgarh rock group is basically, you can say, the basaltic rocks are primarily found. They are mainly biotite schist. So you have basically basaltic, and they have biotite cysts. Okay, they also found, some pegmatite igneous rocks, that is intervening. Okay, in some places you may also found the sequence of the biotite, okay, phyllite, specifically in these rocks. All right, and these types of rocks of that sequence you can found nearby Kishangarh. Okay, and these types of rocks are basically found nearby the Kishangarh. Okay, let's move to the new era, that is basically known as the Paleozoic era. What is Paleozoic era? Again, you can divide, this era into different subgroup, like that is called the Vindhyan subgroup or supergroup. Okay, then you have the Permian Carboniferous subgroup. Okay, let's discuss briefly about the Vindhyan subgroup. When we say about the Vindhyan, it is basically rock of this subgroup mostly covered in the Vindhyas basin in eastern Rajasthan. In eastern Rajasthan. Okay, so this basin, when we say about Vindhyan basin, this basin basically extend from Dholpur, Karoli, okay, to Nimbarheda, Mukundra, hills. Okay, this Dholpur Karoli lies in the northeast direction, and this lies basically in the southwest direction. So it basically extends from the northeast to the southwest direction. Okay, the rocks that is basically found in this Vindhyan basin, they are basically, you can have the grit, sandstone, limestone also. Okay, now this Vindhyan subgroup has the thickness of around 2400 meters in the southwest region of eastern Rajasthan. So it will have, since it is basically a subgroup, so it will have some thickness. So it is basically consisting of around 2400 meters in the southwestern region. Okay. The contemporary rocks, specifically in the Vindhyan subgroup in the western direction, are basically covered in two different basins. One is basically your Nagaur basin and another is basically your Birmania basin. Nagaur basin and Birmania basin. The Nagaur basin basically extend from Jodhpur to Pokhran, okay, in the west, and from Bikaner to Ganganagar in the north. Okay. Similarly, you will have, the Birmana, that, or Birmania basin, that basin basically having the another important aspect. When we say about these rocks, the Malani rocks of Nagpur basin covered basically primarily the igneous rocks. Okay? And to the south of this Nagaur, basin, you have another basin that is known as Birmania basin. Okay? So it has basically the deposits of rock formation contemporary to the Nagaur basin itself. Okay. So this is all about your basically your Vindhyan subgroup. Let's discuss about the Permian Carboniferous subgroup. Permian Carboniferous subgroup. Okay. So similarly, it will have another, supergroups that you can have. So the first you have basically the BAP boulder beds. Okay. So that is around Jodhpur. Okay. Around the Jodhpur, you can found basically the spherical and semicircular spherical beds, okay, which are basically found. Now, these are basically contemporary to the Talcher boulder beds. Okay. Now there is one more bed that is known as Himani era icons. Okay. These are basically inscribed on them. These blocks are mainly formed due to the fragmentation of different types of rocks, okay, of Vindhyan subgroup. So here in the previous slide, what we have covered, the Melani. So Melani igneous groups and Aravali supergroups and Vindhyan subgroups. Okay, with the help of that, it is basically formed, this type of basically a group. Then you have basically the last, that is Bhadura sandstone. Okay, this Bhadura sandstone is basically fossil rich sandstone, okay, that has developed around Bhap and Bhadura. Okay, Bhap is nearby Jodhpur. So they built specifically in the maritime state. So that include basically the sandstones, okay, iron containing sandstones, rocks, and some of the dead remnants of basically the marine animals you can also found over there. Okay, so that's all in this lecture, and in the next lecture we will start the Mesozoic era. So we'll discuss in the next lecture the Mesozoic era also. So thank you very much.